Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Welcome to Dev with Excel. Alright, so in this video we are going to be solving exercise 3.8, right? In the previous video we solved exercise 3.7 and we saw how we could use the Morgan login library, right? So in this video we are going to be seeing how to use the Morgan again to send data in HTTP post request. So we are expected to get something like this. So let me maximize this, and then so we are expected to get something like this, right? That contains the endpoints, what we had from Tiny, and also the data we passed in also, right? All right, so let's head into the code implementation. Currently, I've been able to set up the folder for this exercise 3.8, which is step 8 here. So I'll simply copy the path and then cd into it. So we do npm run dev. All right, so let's be sure that this server runs properly. So I will simply close all of these files as well, and then open up the file for step 8, that exercise 3.8. All right, so here we can see that the server is running successfully. So we can just minimize every other thing. All right, so how can we make this work? What we need to do is just a few tweaks, right? Just a few tweaks, right? So what we can do is I was able to go online and get some ideas to work on this. So now we are not going to be using this tiny configuration now. Rather, we are going to be using a configuration that is going to help us to also send the post request as well, which tiny on its own might not be able to do, right? So we may at some point have to comment out or remove this Morgan, right, as a middleware. So what we can do is let's comment it out here. Then coming to the next line, we are going to say Morgan dot token, right? So here we target the request body, say request that dash body, and then this is also going to accept a callback. So in the callback, we simply just put the request. So here we are not dealing with response for now, right? Because we are dealing with the post request here, right? So we are going to use a conditional statement and say if. Now, if the request method here, we know we are dealing with a post, right? If the request method is a post, so post should be in a string, right? We return JSON.stringify and then request.body. So we want to return the body itself. That's the data passed in by the user, right? But stringified, right? Okay, so it's not going to be as a JSON object itself, but stringified. Okay, so after this is done, we need to return the whole process, and we can just do something like this, right? Okay, so this basically is going to, let's give it a comment. Let's say we are trying to define a custom token, right? Let's say defining a custom token. Okay, let's say for Morgan, right? For Morgan. Okay, so what does this do? This helps us to log, for Morgan to log, okay, the request body for post request. All right, so the next thing we want to do is we want to use this as a middleware, right? So let's just put the comments. Let's say middleware for login with custom format. All right, so Let's comment this, and then let's use it as a middleware now. So we simply say app.use. Then inside this use here, we are simply going to say Morgan, just as the way we normally use Morgan, right? And then something like this. But now we are no longer going to be using tiny as we used here, right? We are going to be putting in our own custom modification, right? So we do something like this. In a string, we use the colon, and then we say method, then space colon URL, space colon, let's say status. So we are just trying to put everything we want to be displayed while the login goes on, right? So after status, we also want the response to be shown. So we can also do something like this. The response, right? This is going to contain the content length, right? So we are going to use a dash to separate this. And then the next one to do is want to target the response. That's the response timing actually in milliseconds. And then also we want to target the request body, right? That's the data coming from the user, right? Okay, so let's save this. All right, so we have something like this. Now let's go back to the Thunder client to make a post request. So let's say we want to post a new name, and that new name, let's say we have dev with Excel, and number having 08-901. All right, so let's click on the send key to see what happens. Before that, let's also open up the terminal. So here is the terminal, right? Let's see what comes up. Okay, so our app crashed, right? It says requests headers fields dot to lowercase cannot read property of undefined reading. Okay, so okay, so I think what we can do is let's go back to our code to be very sure that we didn't do anything wrong. Morgan.token. We have this Morgan. Okay, let's uncomment this tiny first. Let's just do that. Then let's go back to the posts, and then let's click on send. Still the same thing. Let's see if this data was actually posted. It was posted, yes, but the login is having some issues. Okay, few dots to lowercase. I think there's a part here we need to use lowercase, but we used uppercase also. Request dot headers. Um, let's check exactly what's going on. Here the method, we have URL status, content length, response time in milliseconds. Okay, so this should not be a dot, right? So this should be a dash. So let's save this again. Then let's go to the post again, and let's post this. All right, so here we can see that we are having this Morgan logging the data coming from the user, right? So we can see name is dev with Excel, and the number is this, and the ID is 136, just as it is here, right? So with this, I believe we've been able to successfully solve exercise 3.8. Let's go and check properly. So here we were even given the clues where we were advised to create new tokens and to stringify the JSON, the data coming into the data passed into the JSON, right? Okay, so I think with this, we've been able to successfully solve exercise 3.8, right? So I believe you found this helpful, right? So see you in the next video. Bye for now.